We begin tonight with a controversial video making rounds online. An uploader caught on camera men in police uniform tearing what appears to be automated ballots inside a classroom, allegedly in Cotabato City. Comelec is looking into the incident and will refer the case to the National Bureau of Investigation.
Comelec says there are many angles to the video. For instance, the policemen who have been deputized to man the polls could be tearing unused ballots. After voting ends, electoral boards are required to tear unused ballots in half.
They're digging into this issue. Ito po ay imbestigahan namin at we will report to you the eventualities.
Time for today's biggest headlines. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. The Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or PPCRV's manual count is slowly gaining steam as they have received more than 18,000 election returns.
And of those ERs, the election watchdog said it has yet to see anything that should be of concern. And for more updates on that, we have Camille Samonte reporting to us live from the PPCRV headquarters in Manila. Camille, what's the latest over there?
Robbie, Gretchen, as volunteers continue to flock to the PPCRV headquarters, the group said that there are still no discrepancies and irregularities in the partial and an official voting turnout in this year's poll. Contrary to claims, the PPCRV said that it has yet to see any issues with its count. Spokesperson Attorney Van de la Cruz said discrepancies only happen when automated results do not match physical copies of election returns.
Sa hindi po ito nagtutugma. Sa doon, i-share din sa media, sasabihin namin na merong, una, we will tell you kung ano yung accuracy percentage.
But the poll watchdog said mismatches are possible. This happens when there are typographical errors in the manual encoding of ERs in their system. ERs go through a two-step validation, where at least two volunteers separately encode a physical copy of the ER. The system will then assess if the encoded ER from the two volunteers match.
Ngayon, pagka ganun, so sasabihin namin, pwede bang pakicheck uli para lang siguraduhin na tama yung pinapasok natin. And our system detects that, kaya hindi tatanggapin natin ng system natin.
De la Cruz noted that the two-step verification of manual encoding is important to minimize human errors. So far, the PPCRV has received over 18,000 physical election returns. Over 9,700 are from Luzon and close to 9,000 are from NCR. Those from Visayas and Mindanao are expected on Thursday. The group warned the public from spreading misinformation online after claims of chaos inside the command center circulated online.
And I really want to caution the public. Panahon po na maghinahon at intayin ang mga trabaho ng Comelec, ng mga iba-ibang mga citizens' arms, at ginagawa po natin ang trabaho natin.
Robbie, Gretchen, the PPCRV will begin the matching of physical ERs and automated results on Thursday. They also appealed to the public to verify information circulating online with regard to cash donations. Interested donors may check their official website and Facebook page for instructions on how to donate. Robbie, Gretchen?
Maraming salamat. That was Camille Samonte reporting to us live from the PPCRV headquarters in Manila. The Comelec hopes to announce winners in the senatorial and party list races as they continue to canvass more certificates of canvass. Greg Gregorio with the story.
Sitting as a National Board of Canvassers started counting votes for Senate seats and party list groups on Tuesday night. The certificate of canvass from ABRA was supposed to be canvassed first, but Commissioner George Garcia motioned to defer the canvassing.
That in order to determine the authenticity and due execution of a COC, there should be electronically prepared COC or electronically generated COC transmitted from the PBOC to the CCS versus the manually prepared COC by the Board of Canvassers.
The board instead moved to canvass votes from Malabon since a hard copy of the city's COC had already been transmitted. But the NBOC eventually canvassed other COCs, even those without hard copies, to expedite the process. The body canvassed 8 COCs with 1.1 million votes. Based on their first partial and official tally, actor Robin Padilla got the most number of votes, followed by broadcaster Rafi Tulfo, Antique Representative Loren Legarda, former DPWH Secretary Mark Villar, re-electionist Senator Win Gatchalian, Sorsogon Governor Cheese Escudero, Taguig Pateros Representative Alan Peter Cayetano, re-electionist Joel Villanueva, brothers Jinggoy Estrada and JV Ejercito, re-electionist Mig Subiri, and former Vice President Jejomar Binay. But the numbers will still change as more COCs come in. As of 5 p.m., more than 70 COCs have been canvassed. They now need to process less than 100 more. The poll body is now confident that they can announce winning senators by Friday.
We are optimistic po that we will be able to go with that timeline. Sa party list po kasi dependent yung computation dun sa total number of party list votes. And then we will be able to complete the total 63.
But the timeline may still change, especially with some overseas polling precincts needing to personally deliver SD cards.
Kasi hindi nakapag-transmit dahil mahina yung transmission doon sa kanyang area of jurisdiction. So, the SD card of the CCS will have to be unloaded here sa CCS natin dito. We're hoping na we can finish everything by, for example, by Saturday, we can have the proclamation by Sunday.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is poised to win the top seat by a landslide in the partial and unofficial tally of votes. As of 6:14 p.m. today, Marcos Jr. leads the race with over 30 million votes. Vice President Leni Robredo is in a far second with nearly 15 million. She is followed by former Senator Manny Pacquiao and Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, both of whom already conceded defeat to Marcos Jr. Senator Ping Lacson, meanwhile, is in the 5th spot with 880,000 votes. So far, more than 98% of election returns have already been processed. As for the vice presidential race, Marcos Jr.'s running mate, Davao Mayor Sara Duterte, still leads with over 31 million votes. Senator Kiko Pangilinan is in far second with more than 9 million votes. Senate President Tito Soto comes in third with more than 8 million votes, followed by Doc Willie Ong with more than 1.8 million votes. Now at the tail end are Buhay Party List Representative Lito Atienza, Manny Lopez, Walden Bello, Carlos Serapio, and Rizalito David. These are the other big stories tonight. With more than 58% of the votes, the camp of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. claims victory in the presidential race. They are now forming a transition team. Part of that team's agenda is to determine future members of the cabinet. In fact, the first members happens to be Marcos Jr.'s running mate, as he has named Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte as future Education Secretary. And the epic battle of Katipunan continues as the Ateneo Blue Eagles forces a rubber match against the UP Fighting Maroons tonight or on Friday. These big stories after the break.
still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We return with the latest on the senatorial race. As of 6:40 tonight, here are the latest numbers. Still leading the top 6 of the Senate's Magic 12 is Robin Padilla with more than 26 million votes. He is followed by former Antique Representative Loren Legarda with more than 23 million votes. In third place is former Kapatid broadcaster Raffy Tulfo with more than 23 million votes. He's followed by re-electionist Senator Win Gatchalian, former Sorsogon Governor Cheese Escudero, and former DPWH Secretary Mark Villar with more than 20 million and 19 million votes respectively. At 7th place is re-electionist Senator Alan Peter Cayetano with more than 19 million votes, followed by re-electionist Senator Miguel Zubiri and Senator Joel Villanueva, each with more than 18 million votes. Now in 10th and 11th place are former Senator J.V. Ejercito and re-electionist Senator Risa Hontiveros with more than 15 million votes. Capping off that list is former Senator Jingo Estrada with more than 14 million votes.
With only one opposition bet in the Senate, how will this affect the passage of laws in the country? That big question and more with Professor Jean Encinas Franco of the UP Political Science Department. Good evening, Professor Jean. Welcome to The Big Story.
Hi, good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen.
Hey, Prof, what do you expect in the nature of the Senate right now, particularly, as we said, with only Risa Hontiveros poised to make it to the Magic 12?
Yeah, I know. It's a bit scary that only Risa was able to get into the Magic 12. No, it's difficult. Even normally, the Senate is independent from the president, no? But then it looks a little bit problematic right now. I do hope that Risa gets enough support from civil society and non-government organizations so that she is able to pursue her agenda in the Senate.
But do you see any other people in the Senate, whether incumbents or coming in fresh, who may potentially, well, not necessarily be opposition, but will not necessarily be pro-administration as well?
Given the huge numbers of Marcos Jr. right now, it's difficult to say that. No, they might actually look at what happened during the Duterte administration when, towards the end of his term, he's still very popular. But I'm not so sure if it's also going to happen this time with Marcos Jr.
Okay, maraming salamat po. That was Professor Jean Encinas Franco of the UP Political Science Department. Meanwhile, China has congratulated presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and his running mate, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, for being the frontrunners in the 2022 national elections. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian also commended the smooth elections, this despite the numerous reports of election irregularities. Longtime ally, the United States, says it is monitoring the election results and is looking forward to working with the next president.
We're monitoring the election results, and we look forward to renewing our special partnership and to working with the next administration on key human rights and regional priorities. We look forward to working with the president-elect, once that person is officially named, to strengthen the enduring alliance between the United States and the Philippines.
Presidential aspirant Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has officially claimed victory and is now working on forming a transition team, including identifying cabinet secretaries. And for more details on that, we have Marlene Alcaide joining us live from the Marcos headquarters in Mandaluyong. Marlene, what's the latest?
Gretchen, the camp of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos is now scheduled to form a transition team.
While no official proclamation has been announced yet, spokesperson Attorney Vic Rodriguez has declared that Marcos Jr. is the 17th president of the Philippines. In a statement, Rodriguez noted that the former senator is ahead by 16 million votes over rival Vice President Leni Robredo. His camp is now in the next phase, forming a transition team.
He called for a meeting late this afternoon para makapagsimula na rin siguro nung proseso nung pagbubuo ng kanyang transition team at mapag-usapan na yung mga plano sa hinaharap.
He also said that some personalities have expressed interest to join Marcos Jr.'s cabinet. Among those is Agriculture Secretary William Dar.
I am offering my services to the country and to the new leader.
But sure to take a seat in the cabinet is Marcos Jr.'s running mate, presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte. Marcos Jr. has confirmed that Duterte Carpio will sit as Education Secretary. Gretchen Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez said that they are coordinating with the economic team of Marcos Jr. for the transition from Duterte administration. Marcos says economy is going to be a priority. Gretchen?
Thank you. That was Marlene Alcaide reporting live to us from Mandaluyong. Time for another quick break. When we return, the Department of Health says at least 31 voters were sent home after showing COVID symptoms on Election Day. The Philippines bags its first gold medal at the Southeast Asian Games as Filipina athlete Mary Francine claims victory in Pencak Silat. And we are going to Game 3. The Ateneo Blue Eagles emerged on top in a nail-biter of a match against the UP Fighting Maroons. More of these big stories after the break.
Watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The Department of Health says election-related COVID cases may be observed in the next 2 weeks as some voters were sent home on Election Day after showing COVID symptoms.
Meanwhile, more than 7,400 people received their COVID vaccine on Election Day after the poll body set up vaccination sites in polling venues. JC Cosico with this report.
At least 31 voters were sent home for isolation after experiencing COVID-19 symptoms on Election Day. The health department said they were referred to local health centers for further evaluation.
Wala naman po tayong nakita na may severe, for example, na mga simptomas na nagpunta talaga doon.
They are among the 644 people who had health issues in polling centers. 57 were sent to hospitals.
May pagtaas ng presyon, maaring dulot ng init, maaring dulot dun sa marami kasing tao, so medyo nagkaroon po sila ng ganitong mga simptomas. And then the rest ay mga minor lang naman po ang naitala.
Protocol violations such as lack of physical distancing were observed in some voting centers. With this, the DOH once again warned of a spike in COVID-19 cases by EDMA if health violations persist. Authorities said the effect of poll day activities in the number of infections may be seen in 2 weeks.
We know that the incubation period of the virus is 14 days, but we know that also because of these variants, it may be shorter than 14 days.
The public is reminded anew to wear face masks properly and self-monitor for COVID-19 symptoms. Meanwhile, over 7,400 were jabbed in 333 temporary COVID-19 vaccination sites set up in polling venues. For News 5, JC Cosico, We Are One News.
For the big story in sports, Team Philippines has bagged its first gold in the 31st Southeast Asian Games ahead of the formal opening of the event on Thursday. Mary Francine Padios delivered the country's first gold earlier today after a victory in the women's Seni-Tunggal single event of Pencak Silat. Padios, who was a runner-up in the 2019 Southeast Asian Games, exacted her revenge to dethrone Puspa Arumsari as the Filipinos scored 9,960 to defeat the Indonesians 9,945. So far, the Philippines already has 1 gold, 3 silvers, and 4 bronze medals in the event. Now, another big story in sports. The Ateneo Blue Eagles will force a rubber match against the UP Fighting Maroons after taking Game 2 of the UAAP Season 84 Men's Basketball Finals 69-66. The Blue Eagles were able to weather the furious UP rally in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Ange Kwame led the way for Ateneo, finishing with 14 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 blocks. The winner-take-all Game 3 is set on Friday. Buti na lang, hindi mo sinuot yung...
And that wraps up today's big story.
Buti hindi mo sinuot yung yung tie mo na maroon.
Anong tie? Wala pa.
Kasi presumptive victory yun eh.
Wala, naka-brown. Balita lang tayo ngayon.
Magtutuos tayo sa Friday.
Nagkikita na lang tayo sa
Pero,
Friday.
alam mo, meron naman pa buenas dyan. Pareho tayo nasa finals.
Ayan. Sige,
Magsaya tayo na.
Masaya na kayo doon. Okay na yun. Okay, hindi, but also congratulations din sa mga lumalaban para sa atin sa SEA Games.
Oo naman.
Malaking bagay din yun.
Tomorrow, the opening will be tomorrow actually. And hopefully, madagdagan pa, sabi nung ating first gold medalist, una pa lang yun. And she actually has a great story. Got to talk to her earlier today. And she was doing it for her father na may, nakakoma ngayon sa ospital. So tomorrow, we'll learn more about that. That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And get vaccinated, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.